Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Classic Mini DIY. Today we're going to start tackling the next big project on the channel, so stay tuned. Now for those of you who have been on this channel for a while, you know that the whole deal with my channel is that I want to share the things that I know or the things that I learn as I am doing these projects with you guys. What I really enjoy doing is taking you guys along on the ride for the big projects that I'm doing on the channel. So obviously we just finished Bad Wolf Mini. I still need to do a little finale video for you guys so you guys have a good idea of how it all kind of shook out and how it ended up. And behind me, I am working on a gearbox that I'm going to show you guys how to rebuild here. That should be coming out soon. But this weekend, I was able to pick up the next big project for the channel. The next big thing that I want to share with you guys. Now this project is quite literally something that I could not have approached, something that I could not have tackled without the support of all of my patrons. So for those of you who have donated to the channel or who have been donating for a while, thank you so much, as you guys have been the backbone of me tackling this next big project. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to see this project kind of come to fruition, head over to the link in my description. It's just patreon.com/classicminidiy. I have lots of little rewards for people who contribute to the channel. Whether you contribute $1 or $50, it all helps and it really keeps me motivated and also funds the big things that I want to share with you guys. So again, thank you so much to all of my existing patrons. Now, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably already saw a little sneak peek of what I'm about to share with you guys, but let's jump down right over to the right here and I'm going to show you guys what I got. Ta-da! That's right, it is a motor. But not just any motor. This is a Canadian 998, 1000cc, and as you can see, it's in a state of relatively crusty, rusty disrepair, but it does have an actual remote gearbox on the bottom here, and this is a Mini-specific remote gearbox. This is a 998 block with lots of blocked ports and all sorts of different stuff. But this build isn't just a 998 motor. I'm gonna be doing something different with this. I'm gonna be doing something big, fun, and I think you guys are gonna really enjoy what I have in store. Now, if you haven't guessed it already, I'm gonna be turbocharging this 998 motor. And a turbo motor is not something that I've actually done before, so this is gonna be a first for me, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along with me on this build. So this episode, I'm just gonna take some of this stuff apart. I'm gonna show you guys some things and kind of just clean up the front so I can get it up on the engine stand and really start disassembling things. Now, this motor is pretty much bone stock as far as I can tell. Like I said, it is a Canadian mini motor, and one of the biggest ways that you can tell is that it has an actual electric block heater built into the front of the block. This right here is made specifically to warm up your engine when it's cold as hell outside, which it usually is in Canada, especially in the winter, and then it helps you start it up in the winter. So that's pretty cool. As you can see, we've got an old distributor. This is our old generator. So this is what was on cars prior to alternators. Our standard little oil filter starter motor. This is an inertia type starter, which means that it was not pre-engaged, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more. Standard metal fan, and the head is all standard as well. So let's start taking some of this crap off of here. Now, while disassembling this, I found these. I'm not really sure. There's two of them. Does anyone know what these are? It looks like they were cut off. Never seen that before. Let me know in the comments. Now that's kind of interesting. It looks like it's missing one of its water jackets here. That's not ideal. So that will have to get resolved. Next up, I think we'll take this distributor off. Now, before you guys have a small aneurysm, I am not planning on reusing this distributor. I'm obviously hammering the hell out of it, and I'm just trying to get it loose right now. And once it gets loose, this thing's going in the garbage. It's definitely completely shot. You might be curious, what's the kind of first things that we're doing on this motor? You know, I'm already taking it apart here, but what do we need to know? How do we know if it's in good shape? How do we know if it's ready for a turbo? So really what I'm doing right now is stripping it down to kind of I'm gonna take it down to the block, I'm gonna take the head off, I'm gonna take all the transmission and everything off. That should be challenging. Really, everything that's all caked on here, I wanna get it completely separated so that we can get this cleaned by the machine shop. Now, normally, if you have a motor that's in relatively good shape that's running, and maybe you don't want to take it all apart, you would probably want to do a compression test to try and figure out what's the compression on this. And for a turbocharged build, one of the important things is that we actually want to bring the compression down as far as we can to where it'll actually still run, and then we would introduce the turbo. Because you're adding boost, which boost then adds compression, if you have a really high compression motor plus a lot of boost, it's a lot. It's a lot for these small motors. So to prevent any failures, things like that, there are things you can do with these motors. Specifically, one of the things to reduce the compression is adding a decompression plate. So what it does is there's actually a plate that goes in here, and then you actually have two head gaskets, makes the combustion chamber larger, which then reduces the compression. So you have a bigger space with the same amount of air, so you have a lower compression motor. But that's kind of far down the road. We're definitely not at that point right now. But what I'm gonna do to kind of wrap up this episode is continue to take this apart a good bit more, get a lot of this extra stuff off, and get it down a little bit more than where it's at right now. I'm not gonna have this all stripped in one episode. One thing I do wanna remind you guys is that currently I have a huge giveaway going on with 7 Mini Parts. We are giving away a performance cylinder head. It's a high flow 1275 head, and if you're interested in winning that, you can find that link in the description of this video, as well as my last video, which is the actual announcement and everything. But let's crack on. Let's start taking more of this stuff off. I'm gonna take off some of these small things, and we can get a little bit farther. This actually has a repair hose on it. So what probably happened here is this bypass hose, this is the hose that goes between your water pump to your head. There's a little plug on the bottom there. And this crinkle hose right here, most of the time, I believe these were flat. So if it's crinkly like this, what that means is the person who had this fail, and they had to replace it with one of the crinkly ones on the road. So this was probably a bad day for someone right here. Now this is one of those situations where it's great to have a zip gun like this, because if we're lucky, this will come off without too much fuss. And there we have it. So that zip gun basically just saved me countless minutes trying to get that off. So now I should be able to get this this pulley off relatively easy. Now, when you're taking the pulley off like that, it's very important that you don't beat the hell out of this cover here, especially if you want to reuse it, because this will dent and bend, and it just doesn't take pry forces very well. So you probably saw I was kind of wiggling it, and what that did is it helped work this off without putting pressure on this cover. Now, what we're looking at here is our actual timing chain, and let me bring you guys down here so you can get a better look at this. All right, so now you guys get to be in the thick of the action here, and what we're looking at is a simplex timing chain, and what that means is it's just one ring of chains as opposed to a duplex, which is what's on my 1293. And so we'll take this off. That's something we're gonna wanna keep. And then we have our actual timing chain, and look at that slack, look at that play in there. This thing is worn out. That is worn out. And this happens, especially with these single chains. All the force of your crank versus the actual camshaft, it just wears this thing down, especially when you drive the car a lot. So we're gonna hammer this down, and honestly, it looks so good. This could be factory. Now, it's a good thing that I didn't want to reuse this, because like a dope, when I was prying it, this stuff just basically just disintegrated. This will be getting a duplex chain with the whole turbo setup. That's actually in good shape, but again, I'm gonna be switching to a duplex setup. So that is probably gonna get sold on the merch store. So now what we're looking at here, this is the end of your crank, and this is the end of your camshaft. This is where I'm gonna wrap things up on this episode. So let's jump up back to the bench. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that wraps up kind of this introductory episode into this whole project. There's a lot left to do, and I am just chipping away at the surface at this point. But I hope you guys are excited about this. I'm really excited about this. I don't know if once I finish this, if I'm gonna like put it in a shell, a mini shell, and do something with it. I'd really like to put it in like a mini pickup, some sort of pickup shell, and like do it all matte black and like really like mean. But I don't know if that's gonna be an option, just with my space limitations and financial limitations. With all this stuff, it's just really expensive, obviously, to produce these videos and everything. So who knows what's in store? This should be fun though. If you guys have any questions, or if you have any pointers you'd like to share with me about turbo builds, things like that, this is definitely my first ever like dive into this. This is all brand new for me. So I'm really excited to do this. Also, this remote gearbox is gonna be a great candidate for me to show you guys how to rebuild a remote gearbox. So I've got the rod change back here, not quite done yet. I thought that video was gonna come out before this one, but just didn't work out logistically. So rod change gearbox rebuild series, remote change gearbox series, could be pretty cool. If you guys want to support the channel, again, like I said at the beginning, you can join me on Patreon. I've got lots of cool reward tiers there. Also, check out my merch store. There are discounts going on right now for Christmas, and I've got lots of cool stuff on there. One of my favorite things is the Classic Mini DIY mug. That one's a small little purchase, and it's a huge help for the channel. So again, I don't pocket this money. None of the money goes into my personal bank account. It's all straight to buy these things. The money that went into the channel bought this motor. This motor is getting rebuilt with that money, so on and so forth. Also, one quick thing, there is a brand new mini guy on the scene. You want to check him out. His name's Alex Toon. He has a really cool take on classic minis, and his channel should be popping up in the corner around here somewhere. It'll also be in the link in the description below. Head over there, subscribe, really cool dude. Him, Tom at Total Car Reviews, and Alex Hart, Old School Mini. Those three dudes, super cool dudes. Check them out, they've got great channels. So until the next episode, which should be the rod change gearbox episode, and introducing you to that whole disassembly process, enjoy those minis, and motor on.